Well, I left my notes back there. I don't need them. Never works out half the time anyway. Little boy was sitting in the classroom one day. The teacher looked at him and said, if your mama had 4 apples and divided them equally with you, how many would each of you get? The little boy said, well, mama would just get 1 and I would get 3. The teacher said, you don't know your math. And the little boy said, you don't know my mama. Mamas are special. There ain't nothing like mama. Let me explain what mama is. It's not who had you, it's who raised you. They can still be mama. Anybody can have a kid. Raising them is different. I thank God for my mother. She was a very strong and godly woman. Sat on the edge of my bed on a Saturday night in June of 1969 and led me to the Lord. I'll never forget that. She taught me more Bible than any professor I ever sat under. She walked with the Lord. She served in the church and set a great example. She was the glue that held the family together. She really was. My Donna is now the matriarch of the Cash family. And I'm so glad of the godly example that she has lived in front of all of our children. A mama can make you or break you. They really can. Mamas, you have no idea the power that you have. A lot of you don't. My mother used to always say, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, and that's the truth. Some of the most incredible people that ever lived did what they did because they had a good mama. They had a mama that set a godly example in front of them. No matter what it costs you, moms, do what you must do to live godly in front of your children and your family. It's a sacrifice that few people nowadays are willing to give, but it is so important. There is no calling on this earth that is higher than being a mother. You need to understand that. The world will tell you that you're nothing because you're a mom, or that you stay home and take care of your kids. And I realize everybody can't stay home, but you can still take care of your kids. But a lot of people look at you as nothing if you are not in the limelight. Let me tell you something. The limelight you will see if you do what you're supposed to do is when you're standing in front of God and he goes, well done. Well done. Proverbs 31 asks the question in verse 10, who can find a virtuous woman? Virtuous. What is virtuous? It's a woman of integrity, a woman of great moral character, a woman that keeps her word, said for her price is above all rubies. There is no price you can put on a godly woman. You really can't. I am so grateful that I was raised by one and that I am married to one. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. If I were to rewrite the scriptures today in that particular verse, I would have to write the heart of her husband safely trust in her, knowing that she won't run the credit card up. That's what it says. They didn't have a credit card back then. He had no need of spoil. He wouldn't have to go out and go pillaging in another town to get money to replace what she did. That's true, though. She's a team player. This woman looks out for the good of her family, even financially. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. I'm paranoid as I can be because I was in law enforcement for 14 years, so I don't let too many people sit behind me while I'm up here. I trust Donna. I've always trusted Donna with my life. The children have always trusted Donna, and she has always come through. Talks about this woman that runs her own business. What he's talking about right here, and there are women that are strong, independent women that can run a business, and she ran hers out of her house. And he is praising her for it. It said she seeks wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. I have to laugh because my mother told me that the first day that she met my daddy's mother, he brought her home to meet his mother, and she lived in Piney River. She was plowing with a mule on the side of a mountain when they drove up, and they had to walk up there to meet my grandma. Now that's a tough woman right there, plowing with a mule on the side of a mountain up there. Somebody that's not afraid to work. Let me tell you something, if you are lazy, motherhood is not for you. Amen. Oh, mercy, it is not for you. What is a typical day for a woman? They rise before everyone else does. They get everything ready for the kids. They get breakfast. They get the kids off to school. She goes and drags the old man out to bed and makes him go to work. And then she takes care of what she has to do during the day. Half the time it's laundry, it's cleaning the floor, it's fixing the meals, and then she has to be expected to be in the mood that night. Let's be honest. Come on, don't look at me all like that. You know it's the truth. Has to be a superwoman. Has to be a superwoman. Men, they don't have anything compared to what women have to put up with. I will admit that. I will admit that. Yes, I will. And so if you're lazy, motherhood is not for you. Okay. She is like the merchant ship. She brings her food from afar. In other words, she gets the very best for her family. You know, I've heard of people say, well, I go to this church because it's closer to me. Well, would you go to a grocery store that's closer to you if they sold poison? You go to where the good stuff is at. If they are serving the right kind of food or selling the right kind of food, you go if you have to drive 100 miles. Same with the church. All right. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She takes care of that house. You know, the Bible even says in the New Testament that a woman's job is to rule the house. Getting quiet in here. All of these men are all cinching up here now. I'm sorry, but it says that. You need to respect that woman when she says this is what we need to do and this is what we don't need to do in the house. I'm going to step on some toes this morning. That's all right. It said she considers the field. She's very discriminating. She's a good businesswoman. And she buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. And she girds her loins with strength and strengtheneth her arms. I have watched my wife tote children all day long. I see my children tote theirs all the time. With as many times as, especially my girls, as many times as I've watched y'all hold a baby, your right arm ought to look like Popeye. I don't know how you do it. You know, I'm good at babysitting for about a half an hour, and I'm done. My wife could do it all day long. She actually loves it. I think it's funny that some of the grandchildren have a nickname for Donna. They call her regular grandma. one of Anna's boys was they were talking about grandma, and Anna said, well, which one are you talking about? Well, regular grandma. That's the only time I've ever heard of a grandma being called regular grandma. But I take that as a compliment for her. It says she girds her loins with strength. She perceives that her merchandise is good, and her candle goeth not out by night. Moms, what do you do when one of your kids is sick? You're up all night long. It is amazing. I really don't see how moms do what they do, because their thing is they have a nurturing way about them that they're going to check on that child all night long. And then they're going to get up in the morning and still do what they have to do for the day. That is absolutely amazing. And that kind of a person really is special. They really are. And it says she lays her hands to the spindle, her hands hold the distaff. She's making clothing. She stretcheth out her hands to the poor. Not only, these virtuous women have not only time for their family, but to help other people as well. They help other people. And that's a wonderful, wonderful trait to have. It said, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all of her household is clothed with scarlet. In other words, she makes preparation for bad weather. My mother always stockpiled everything at home. And she said, well, when you're snowed in, you'll be glad that I got this. Or when we run into a rough spot, you'll be glad that we got this. So we always had plenty. It didn't make any difference if it snowed 3 feet outside. We always had plenty of food in the house. I used to laugh at Donna until it actually happened one night when a storm would be coming up. She would fill, when we lived down in Amherst, she filled up both the bathtubs with water. And I go, what in the world are you doing? Well, the power might go out. Oh, don't worry about that. Until one night the power went out. And we were so glad to have that water that we could use to do whatever around the house. And especially to flush the commodes. Let's just get honest here. And she was prepared. I never thought about it, but she did. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry, for her clothing is silk and purple. And this is another one right here. It said her husband is known in the gates. A lot of people, that goes over your head because maybe you do not understand Hebrew tradition. What that means is when you would go into a city, an ancient city, back at the time this was written, all of the leaders of the city would be stationed at the gate of the city. Those who ruled the city, they would be the first ones you would meet when you would come into that town. And they were the ones that were allowed to sit in the gate. And it says her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. And what that means, let's just be frank about that. She made him what he is because of the kind of woman that she is. I used to read the ancient Hebrew law, and I noticed that the penalties for women was always harsher than it was for men. If they did this or they did that. So I asked my mom that when I was a teenager studying. I said, why in the world is God being unfair? And she went, oh no. She said, God understands that mom is the hub of the family and that she is the moral compass of the family. Powerful thing. She always said the husband's the head of the home and the wife is the neck that turns it. Yeah. But she said this. She said, you will notice as you go along in life, when mama goes bad, the whole family goes down the tubes. And having been a pastor for 32 years, I've noticed that. It's true. If mama wants to go bad, boy, everything goes bad. That's why, moms, it is so important to walk with the Lord. Oh, goodness. Walk with the Lord. It is so important. Her husband is what he is because of the right kind of woman that he has in his life. She maketh fine linen and sells it, and delivers girdles unto the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. And she shall rejoice in time to come. There is nothing greater than to hear your children praise you for the example that you set for them. And oh, it's not always easy, because a mom is not supposed to be a friend. She's supposed to be a mom, but yet she is a friend as well. The dads, they have it easy. They're the enemy until the kid is 18 years old. They know that. But mom has to temper it with being a disciplinarian and sometimes being strict, but also understanding as well. You know, when my kids really messed up, oh, they didn't come to me. They went to Donna first to clear it with her, but then they let Donna come talk to me about it, okay? She knew how to deal with me. But anyway, to hear that kind of praise, it said she will rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Tell you what, young ladies, you would do very well to go to the older ladies that have raised children and been successful in doing that in their life, and sit down and talk with them and get some wisdom from them, because they can save you an awful lot of grief on what they had learned. And in her tongue is the law of kindness. I got to say this about Donna. Donna has no enemies. If you were her enemy, you just misunderstood her. Something wrong with you. I got plenty of enemies. I've had people, honest to God, the Lord knows it's truth. We were walking down through the mall one day, years ago, and there come a couple of people. They couldn't stand me to even look at me. They hated me. And they went over to her and said, "Oh, Sister Donna, so good to see you." And they looked at me and growled like a dog and then kept walking. I don't take that personally. That's all right. But Donna has no enemies because she has the law of kindness is in her mouth. It really is. Thank God that she's like that. We balance each other. We were talking about that in the car yesterday, heading out of town, about how we balance each other out. I keep her out of trouble, and she keeps me out of prison. She looks well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. I watched, ever since Donna and I were married and started a family, I watched her, and I've never seen her with idle time. If she did, it had to have been at 2 in the morning. But she was always busy. And then this is the payday right here. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you excel them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. There are many of you thinking this morning about your mother, And if you were blessed to have this one right here, boy, if she's still alive, you ought to thank God and go tell her that. If she's not, God, just tell the Lord, hey, tell Mama I appreciate it. Because she can hear it. She can hear it. But there is nothing more precious than a godly mother. I know many of you may not have had one, but you know what? You can be one. If you are a mom, if you're raising someone, it don't make no difference how old your children are. You can still make a change today. Make a change and start living for the Lord in front of them. Again, we praise moms everywhere today. And I'm so grateful for the wonderful work that they have done in raising godly families. Let's stand. This morning we're going to have a song of invitation. If you have a need of whatever it may be, maybe you need to come pray for somebody, maybe you want to go and if your mom is in here, hug your mom. If your grandma's in here, hug your grandma, whatever. Or you just want to come and just say, Lord, thank you for giving me a godly mother. Whatever your need may be, we're going to have a song of invitation. And if you need someone to pray with you, we have some folks down here that'll be glad to do that as Candy plays a song of invitation. Maybe your prayer is, Lord, make me a godly mother. I've got so much I've got to do. Please help me be a godly mother. Maybe that is your prayer this morning. It's a tough job, but God can get you through it. Just come and ask Him.